Hi everyone, I'm Quentin Schultze, author of the book You'll Shoot Your Eye Out, Life Lessons from the Movie A Christmas Story. Now this is a very different video than most of them on the channel because I'm going to get at something that practically nobody knows about, nobody has talked about, I can't find anything about it anywhere. It's a truth about the movie, it's a truth about the screenwriter that I found out from my friendship with Jean Shepherd, who wrote the screenplay for A Christmas Story, but also the screenplay for other movies that were produced, feature movies and also one-hour movies for public television. At the beginning of many of his movies, there is a special scene. Watch this. When I show that to you, you probably wonder where in the world I am going. A steel mill. Ooh, now there are some people that say that this kind of scene is in Jean Shepherd's movies, many of them at the very beginning, because Jean Shepherd himself grew up close to the steel mills in the Chicago area and northern Indiana, the Hammond-Gary area. And I've been there to where his house was, his childhood home, and it's about 3 miles to the steel mills from there right now. And so you can go down there and you can look at those mills and you can say, he's just recreating something that he grew up with. And he's talking about working class people. Well, not exactly. I have a video on the channel here where I talk about that neighborhood that he grew up in and a little video about it where I talk about the fact that it's really the first generation middle class that he grew up in, not so much working class. So that's not the point. And the point is not just that Jean Shepherd himself as a kid worked in a steel mill, which he did. So people will talk about all these things and find these autobiographical connections. But there's something more going on here, which is really intriguing. And as far as I know, nobody else has pointed this out because probably nobody else talked with Jean Shepherd about it. Now, remember that his stories are parables. So he would tell a story that had an underlying meaning to it, a message, a life message. Remember, we sometimes tell a story and we say, well, what's the moral of the story or the lesson of the story? So with my book, I talk about the 20 major life lessons that are in A Christmas Story from Jean Shepherd's stories. I talk about the parables and what are the meaning of the parables. But throughout his storytelling, he was using imagery, whether it was verbal or visual, in order to get at these underlying meanings, and the steel mill was one. He doesn't just show steel mills. He doesn't want just steel mills. By the way, in A Christmas Story, it originally was going to begin just with the kids coming out of the house and running across the street there and meeting their buddies on the way to school, which you now see in the movie. But just before that, you get a little shot where there is the Bumpus house and a guy cleaning off an old broken down car, and then there's that shot of the steel mills across the way. And in fact, the production designer for A Christmas Story searched out to find a house to do some of the shooting where there was a steel mill that could be shown as well, with the steel mill right there shooting up. Here's the hard part for me to explain this to you. Those images are not meant to just say steel mill, working class. Shepherd grew up with that. They are there to get at the nature of human beings. In particular, the nature of men. So I'm touching on a little bit of something here where you're probably beginning to see where I'm going. So I'm going to use the phrase phallic symbol. Those are phallic symbols. And that's why Jean Shepherd always wanted those in the beginning. Because what he's trying to do there is to get at the nature of what it means to be a man, a human being, a male human being in the world, in crazy world. And to be a male means that you are the victim. That would be the way Shepard put it to me. You are a victim of hormones. So your hormones, as you reach into adolescence and so forth, begin working, and they make you irrational. They make you inclined to seek out certain things and do certain things that you don't understand and you can't even explain yourself. And these urges are more or less romantic urges. So the hormones have to do with seeking out a woman, let's say, going on a date or whatever. And they also have to do with transferring this desire that you have for a woman to other things. That is, to become romantically involved with, let's try this one out, cars. For Gene Shepard, one of the things that really attracted him, that he fell in love with, if I can put it that way, was automobiles. He was crazed by automobiles. Early on in his work in the media, he lived in the Cincinnati, Ohio area, and he worked at a dealership, a car dealership. He was a car freak. He was in love with cars. He wrote column for Car and Driver magazine. And he would say to me, Quinn, you know, what men do is take these urges that they have as men, hormonal urges, and they attach them to things that they can fall in love with. And usually, if it's not a human being, it's another type of thing. And practically anything can come in there and take over men. And for him, that was symbolized in those phallic symbols that he wanted to use at the beginning of his movies. Now, I'm telling you this based on what Gene Shepard told me. And I know it sounds kind of crazy, but Gene Shepard actually had a whole philosophy of life, a whole worldview based on certain things, including the differences between men and women, which I talk about more in other videos. But I wanted in this video to get at it from the standpoint of why he would hold out and insist to get those steel mills there and want the setting of that Christmas Story house to be right there where you could see the towers up into the sky behind the house, symbolizing the male hormones, the phallic symbols. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like a copy of my book, I'll put a link down below. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel there too. And please, if you'd like a personal copy while I still have them, if there's a link down below, you can order a copy and I will sign it. Your friends and family will open the book and see it signed just for them. In fact, tell me how to sign it. Thanks so much.